All right. All right. So, hey, everybody, it's Kev Hempel with Freestone Reconstruction. We are, I don't even know what week it is. It's like week 5 or 6 of this isolation at home or quarantine, whatever we're calling it nowadays. We're at home, basically, working from home. So, this week we have Christie Bravo from Bravo Roofing. We've got Justin Pastorius from Freestone Reconstruction, Eric Olson from Freestone Reconstruction, and Terry Rucker. And I apologize, Terry, I don't know what company you're from, but we did meet this week on LinkedIn, and I asked if you were interested in coming on board. You know what? I think I could probably find it really quickly. Let me just see. Terry Rucker from, she's the Director of Marketing and Business at Design Tech Incorporated. So hopefully she can jump on. Today, what we're going to do is we are going to have Christie Bravo take the lead on this thing. This week, she read an article on LinkedIn, and she's going to talk to us about it and then just go with her flow and see what happens. So, Christie, welcome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that introduction. So, yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, Kevin and I had a conversation, and we were just talking about what was going on and all the changes. And I read an article on LinkedIn that was talking about the generational differences and how actually the changes that we thought would never happen with these generations are actually happening. And so it really opened my eyes because I'm in a multi-generational company. So we have a baby boomer, Gen Xer, millennials, and now Generation Z. And so it made me stop and like really think, how is this happening? And I shared with Kevin, I'm like, it's crazy because I thought, my dad is the baby boomer and wanted nothing to do with digital, anything, we kind of write his emails, respond to his text messages. And so I kind of shared with him this week what we were doing to get in front of customers, and he was listening to it. And so a few days after, he's like, so are you doing that Zoom thing? So he's now engaging with what we're doing. And I was like, I never thought I would see this day. And so I think like my message is really like this time, as difficult as it is for a lot of people, and me included, I see like so many positive things happen and things that I thought were just, I don't know, annoying, frustrating and all of that. And now I'm like, what is happening? So going to the next generation, I'm Gen X, and I'm like, I am pumped. I am motivated like for all these changes. And in this article, the Gen X generation, it said just that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do they know? How did this writer know this, right? So obviously he writes for Forbes magazine, and I'll share this with you guys after the show. But it was just fascinating because it's like we're all looking at things in a different light now, right? It doesn't matter what generation. They went on to the millennial generation that used to be the job hoppers. Well, our millennials here are like, they're working harder than they did before, right? Because they realize like, okay, I can't get a job. Like this is like, they get it. It's just a different kind of vibe. The Gen Z, my daughter, she's working with us now, 4th generation. And she said to me, Mom, I think I'm going to go to a state school. And I was like, well, why is that? And she was accepted to some UCs. And she goes, because it's less expensive. And that's exactly, it like went down the article. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And so I kind of wanted to ask you guys, like, if you've noticed in your businesses, have you noticed any changes with, different people? I don't know. I guess that would be a question that I'd have for you guys. So with that being said, Kevin, do you want to help me out and answer that?
Yeah, I do. I had a question
awesome.
about it. So you said like the millennials are working harder than they've ever worked before and going through that process. But in my head, I immediately went like, but everybody said millennials aren't very good workers. Like prospectively, I would hear a lot of times millennials are lazy. Like they don't know what they're doing. And so right now in my head, I'm going like, so then what happened? Have they always been really good hard workers and we just didn't realize it? Or like,
yes.
What happened? What happened to
So
make?
in my perspective, I love millennials. I think that when people say they're lazy, they're not being led right or properly, right? So millennials are totally different than, obviously, than the baby boomers, Gen Xers, right? But I understand that they don't want to be managed, right? They like to be led. So managing and leading are two different things. And so I think what happens is baby boomers, they want to manage, right? And millennials do not want to be told what to do, because I mean, they need guidance. So that's what I do. There's guidance. There's here and there where I will have to do some managing, but it's rare, because they're incredible. I mean, I absolutely love the millennials, and I think with all of this going on, they're really stepping up to the plate. And I've been talking to other colleagues, and I'm like, have you noticed this? And they're like, yeah, I really have. Like, just wanting, is there anything you need? Do you need extra hours? Like, I just have one that's at home, and she's sent a text to the office saying, does anyone need anything from Sam's Club? I'm going. Like, they are incredible. And I think it's time that we really look at them and stop calling them lazy, because they're not lazy.
They're like the shining stars out of all this situation right now, because right,
they are.
Huh.
They truly are. I don't know. Gen Z's got me stumped. That's my daughter. But she's fascinating as well. She's taken us to new heights. When she first started, she didn't know what to do with paper, because we're kind of half and half. My dad still wants to hold the paper, so we still have to have that. But she literally sat there and kind of fumbled with this paper, and I was like, what are you doing? And she said, I don't know what to do with this. And so I was like, you know what? Great. We're going paperless, and thank you very much. So she's been scanning her little heart out. So we're working on that. But no, I think that this is really going to open our eyes, every generation. I think we're going to work better together. I think prior to this, we've been kind of like fighting, like, oh, they're lazy. Oh, boomers don't want to do technology. Gen Xers, who are they? Gen Z, oh, they're totally different. No, this is definitely going to make us work. And the synergy is going to be amazing. It's going to be like in my office, like, we have a great time, but we've had the best of every generation, like all of us together. I mean, I've struggled with, the generational difference, like, especially with my dad, but now I'm like, oh, I have zero complaints.
Wow.
Like, we're thriving as a team. That's for sure. Everyone is stepping up and realizing, just even me going on social media and all these different platforms, I didn't want to do it. Right. There's just certain things that we're all doing. So yeah. And I encourage you guys to just really open up your eyes to what the people that you're around, and look at them, because we're all humans, and we all have one basic need, and that's love. And I think when you give that, it just kind of, you lead. That's what love's about. It's about leading people and loving them for where they're at.
Yeah.
And it's going to be beautiful. So I'm super excited for what's next.
Yeah, gonna be beautiful, right? It's future thinking. So I'm gonna back it up and say it is beautiful. Like
it is
actually
beautiful.
It actually is, perspectively.
It is.
Even though we're having challenges, we're going through stuff, like, it's still beautiful. What the things that are happening. Eric, you had a question. What do you got to say about this?
Yeah, I will. Actually, when Christine, when you were first talking, I wrote down, you adapt when you have to, and I think what I'm hearing from you talking about the differences between, like, your dad's generation, the boomer generation, and even Gen Xers the millennials, is that everyone's having to adapt to what's happening to them now. Mm-hmm. So the old ways of doing things, you got to be a little bit more creative in how you approach those tasks. So, like, for example, your dad might be more willing to try Zoom, for example. Your daughter, at some point, she might have to get comfortable with paper too. Yeah. But I think the bottom line is that, people are having to figure out, okay, I can't do it the way I used to. How's this person doing it? Regardless of what their age is, what generation they, what's working for them. And I think that process helps people try to figure out a new way of doing things for themselves. It may not look exactly like how your daughter might do it, but it's just people I think are learning, and that's really what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So Terry had said, she said, I'm 49. I love millennials. I've always found that if you bring them in and as equals and not treat them as lesser, then they are excited and eager to learn. Enforce why you want them to do what you're asking to help them grow and learn. My first assistant is now a VP of purchasing for a public company, home builder. If you lead with the enthusiasm and listen to their ideas, they will follow. She's a 35 young lady.
Yeah.
It's totally
so
true.
So it must be something about Gen Xers, because Terry, we need to talk, because I believe you said 49, so you're a Gen Xer. I'm 45, gonna be 46, and I'm like just fascinated with the millennials and studying the Gen Z, and I love what the baby boomers still offer, because they are about stability, about values and ethics, and and strategy. A lot of times the millennials, they still have to learn that stuff. A lot of them were based with they come from the technology where they're kind of behind a screen, and now they're going to be forced to come out from that screen and actually have relationships. So I think we're going to see they're going to be really leaning on us to teach them the skills to meet with people and be able to build those relationships. So I think Gen Xers, I think it's definitely our time.
She said you guys are gonna have to talk, because millennials need to help your guys' generation with technology.
Yes.
Which
yes. I'm kind of like half and half. Like,
yeah.
I always tell like the team, I'm like, look, I'm not bombarding you with this. It's just you're way faster and better at it than I am. Yeah. So like when you have a problem with a customer, or client, I said that's my strength. But I think you're gonna see they're gonna want to learn more about people, and I think we could teach each other so much.
It's pretty cool. Justin, what do you have? What do you have inside? I know.
When I sit here and I rub that, there's something brewing. So the most amazing thing to me in this whole season that we're in is it really does force innovation. Not even on a business level, well, sort of on a business level, talking about a church that Kevin and I belong to. It has forced innovation in terms of how they're connecting with people. Like my pastor is not a social media guy, and to see, he's got 6 kids from millennial all the way down, and to see these kids come in and come alongside him to get his message broadcast on social media and on Zoom and everything else. Like the cool thing is I sit on the board of the church, and I've been saying we need to get and take advantage of some of these resources that we have. And there's been some resistance to that. And now this has been kind of thrust in front of us where there was no choice. Like now we have to force communication. The way that we traditionally communicated with people is has changed, and it causes us to be, okay, so now what's the best way of communication? I just got a message from another business partner that had his first Zoom meeting with a board, and I'm sure the board is a bunch of baby boomers. And so to be able to come alongside them and say, look, we still need to have these meetings. We still need to get your stuff taken care of. How do we do that? Here's a very cool way. And man, it is so simple. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Had this happened 10 years ago, we would be sitting in a much different position. And we get to take advantage of the resources that we have. And especially when people are, there's an undertone of stress, and we are able to spread hope and love and all those things in the midst of doing business. It's awesome.
It is. And we can actually change to build on top of that. So something that happened this morning was I noticed one of the guys that was in our Bible study there. I noticed this morning the guy was on a rooftop. He was actually like working. So here he is doing a Bible study on the rooftop, and I seen his logo, and it was like a thermal company. And I was like, hey, I need like a company like that. So I messaged him, text message after, and I was like, dude, how can we work together? Like, how can we figure that out? So you just don't know where things are going to help, using technology and social. They just simply like that. I am positive one of these projects, one of these days, I'm going to have to call that guy and go, hey, I need your company to come out and check this project out. So here he is on a Bible study doing his video thing on the rooftop doing his thing. And I recognized that was there. Similar to Terry, I don't know Terry. I've never met her physically. I've only looked at some of her profile. I met her through LinkedIn. She had actually was doing, if I remember correctly, she had posted a video or something she was doing. And I had like reached out to her to say, hey, we do these digital trade shows as well. And so if you're interested in coming on or check it out. And then she messaged me back. And so now we've got this working relationship now that we can build off of and go, if I liked your message, you like mine, we connected, let's figure out how we can help each other along the way. Like, I get back to saying that this is about service, like capital SERVICE, service. How can we service? There's somebody that was supposed to be on the show today and on this call, but a couple hours ago had messaged me and said, hey, I'm not quite sure if the message right now is going to match up very well with, where we're at. And I said, it's totally cool. If you don't want to be on it, that's fine. Like, I don't want anybody to stop me from pressing the send button here. And so if it doesn't work out, that's great. And then my response to the person was, I'm not quite sure. Nobody really knows what message is going to work out there. Mm-hmm. That's the point here. Nobody knows now what type of message or what proper message is going to serve its purpose, where it's supposed to serve. Because every message we put out there matters. Terry said, just real quick, she said, I work for an interior design firm. I posted asking people in business development what they're doing during this time of connected. Oh, to stay connected. There you go. So that's what it was. And I happen to be looking for interior design type of people because I'm interested in what they're looking at, because an account manager had me call an interior design person in the San Francisco area. And when I called that person, they said they weren't doing anything. They're like, we're just basically sitting. And so here you go. You've got Terry now on a thing, but it's kind of neat how it's all working. So, let's see. So we're at 1:25. We got probably about 5 more minutes here. Is there any kind of last things anybody wants to talk about this whole millennial X generation boomer thing? I think it's awesome. I love chatting with boomers. Like, it's so cool. And I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what our next levels of things happen. And I want a boomer to create another company out of, or a business out of their garage. And they launch themselves out of this whole COVID-19 thing and says, I am a boomer. I created this company on the computer using technology, and I created it out of my garage, and here I am. Like, that's what I want to see. And here's my first million, right? Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and I have a bunch of millennials working with me.
I did it using millennials, yeah. And I had
they're awesome. I can't. Yeah, this is an exciting time. We're gonna all be one and working together. So
yeah, we have to be.
It's
so cool. Let's go around. Justin, what is one thing you have you have gratitude for?
Gratitude. What do I have gratitude for? My wife and kids, man. It's my wife said something yesterday. There's a women's group that meets, and I asked her how come she wasn't a part of it, and she goes, you know what? I just feel bad because everything is going so well, and it caused me to pause on one level and think about that. Like, okay, not waiting for the shoe to drop, but I really did think about that. Like, the cohesiveness that we've been able to form in the midst of this has been amazing. Like, my kids are getting along so well. They're like going on walks and looking for turtles and like just very organic stuff. And me and my wife now that I've moved out to my surfboard garage, we've been able to work very well together. So I'm super grateful that we don't have a tense environment here at home in the midst of, some circumstances that were beyond our control.
Awesome. Eric?
Yeah, I mean, similar. I think I would just say family, friends. That would be where I'm most grateful. I think, it is because of the, it is kind of a challenging time that we're all dealing with. I think that naturally you know, tends to bring people together because, you know, people are trying to obviously, you know, stay close and, you know, provide resources to each other as needed. But I think, especially in these times, it's really helpful to have, you know, close family and friends that maybe you haven't reached out to. I've actually reopened a couple of connections with people that I haven't even spoken to in probably 3-4 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Including my ex-wife, which has been interesting. So, yeah, it's really, I mean, I don't want to say a blessing in disguise because I wouldn't call like what's happening a blessing, but I would say that it's brought out um, some things that I would not have expected. So I'm grateful for that.
That's awesome. Christy, what is one thing that you're really grateful for?
I am so grateful for family businesses, and small businesses. I'm grateful that I'm part of a generational business that has been around for 4 generations. And I say that because prior to this, I was trying so hard to get away. And now that we're here, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I'm so grateful. Yeah, I can't even, you know, my dad's worked so hard with this business for 27 years, and I'm truly blessed that I'm here today, and that I didn't leave last year or the year before, or, you know, all the complaints that I had are gone, you know, and I found my passion through this. It's the multi-generational workplace. I absolutely am fascinated by the way that we work together as people and generations. So, and I get to experience it every day. So kind of like you, Justin, I kind of feel like I'm just so lucky. I get to do and experience what I love every day.
Christy,
So.
you, in my opinion, you just had a moment, and it made me go like, man, what is it exactly that changed that perspective? And the only thing I could really, I mean, I have my ideas, but like Eric just said, like, he just said, you know, there's a positive, right? There's a good thing out of this, which is moving really progressively, because yes, we still have people getting sick. Yes, we still have people dying, with all due respect to that. But there's a perspective here that we really need to carry and have. And I'm reading this book about the Book of Joy, and it's with the Dalai Lama and the Archbishop. And something that they said in there was that these two guys are sitting from different religions, and they both suffered, some would say equally amounts, like large scale amounts. But through all that suffering, now that they've gone through those experiences, or even some of them continue to go through, that they've been able to find joy through the suffering. Mm-hmm. And there are those of us that can find it really quickly because we have these perspectives. And then there are those that get stuck in this situation. Like, there's going to be a lot of trauma that comes from that. And yeah, I don't know if there's a question in there, but that's interesting stuff.
No, I mean, I'm reading, I'm actually reading a new book right now, Kevin. It's called Plan B, and it's co-written by by Sheryl Sandberg with Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And she writes it from the perspective of dealing with the loss of her husband, who she found dead on a gym floor, which is pretty traumatic. But she brings in a lot of other stories of people having gone through horrific circumstances and how they have worked through those traumatic situations to move on with their life. And actually, what's really cool is she's got 2 chapters that actually specifically deal with dealing with work through tragedy, learning from work through tragedy, and coming together at work through tragedy, which has really been, I don't know, I find it personally very engaging, because it does have a lot of ties to what people are kind of dealing with, you know, just feeling separated, but needing that connection. I mean, that's a lot of what she talks about in there, because people that go through those traumatic experiences tend to withdraw, and they really need that kind of communal backing and support. What's that?
I think maybe Terry was able to finally jump on audio.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, that was the gist of it. I really kind of enjoying it because it is sort of a traumatic experience, but we're all kind of, like I said before, I think we're each other's community right now. So I think it's important to kind of lean into that.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Terry, did you have audio there? Were you able to say hello or say what
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What is one that you want to add anything to this conversation?
Are we talking about the topic of gratefulness?
Whatever you want. The last final question was what we're really grateful for right now.
Because I dropped off, but for now, I'm just grateful, I have to say, for actually this. I'm a people person. I love people. Very passionate about that. I've traveled to a lot of different countries. I've been very fortunate and very grateful to have done so at the time. I'm grateful for laughter because through every tragedy, because we're all just human. So it's how you navigate through these things. Nobody's guaranteed a perfect life. You know, you can sit on a pity pot, which I've done in the past over things, but as you come through it, you learn and as you get older, and I'm not saying I feel old or anything, but I'm just saying, just learn we're all just human. That's it. Yeah. We'll get through this, That's
awesome.
My 2 cents.
Do you want to just quickly introduce your company and kind of what you do there? That way, we can get a final plug in for you there.
Sure. My name's Terry Rucker, and I work for a company called Design Tech, Inc. We're an interior design firm. We do model homes for the home building industry and also common areas and commercial spaces, multifamily for developers. And we're located in Newport Beach.
Awesome. Well, Christie's down that way as well. So maybe they just kind of...
We'll have to do virtual lunch.
Yes, we will do that.
That's awesome. So thank you all for coming on. The thing that I am most grateful for right now is I'm going to go with what Terry said as well. This situation, in my position right now, I have to live 5 to 6 months ahead of where we're at, which essentially means that everybody for the company at Freestone and B. Taylor, all the team leads are really just doing a tremendous job at building deeper relationships with the clients and doing everything that they need to do to continue to have those contracts come in and to continue to still have projects going on. And so where I exist is in 6 months from now, what are we going to do next? Where's our layout of contracts? What do we have to do? And everybody is saying that, from what I can gather, don't live 6 months from now, live next week and, week by week, kind of take it day by day. But the reality is that somebody has to live in that future to see what the opportunities and potentials are. Is this thing going to end in 3 weeks and we're just going to all go out and go back to work? I don't know. Is it going to end in 6 months? Is it going to end in a year? So I have to live in that state. And it really makes me happy to know that I can still come to a place back to today and be present with all of you beautiful faces and people that we're meeting. So I appreciate that. The future looks awesome, but it is rather interesting as we move forward. So thank you all for coming on. And we're going to put some links out. We'll have this posted tomorrow on the Facebook page and LinkedIn page and everywhere else on Freestone and B. Taylor. And we will make sure to tag all of you and your companies, and we'll chat soon. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you.
Thanks, Christy.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.